Picture this. A global superstar at the height of her power, quietly writing a heartfelt, handwritten letter to a fellow artist. Someone she barely shared public moments with, someone whose name hadn't been linked to hers in years. No paparazzi around, no flashy statements, no PR machine. Just two musicians, connected by the invisible thread of fame, struggle, and the emotional turbulence of living life in the spotlight. This is the story of the warm, deeply personal letter Taylor Swift sent Liam Payne in the final stretch of his life. A gesture that stunned fans, moved insiders, and revealed more about both artists than years of headlines ever did. And today, on the Celebrity Leak, we're stepping inside that moment, the emotion behind it, the whispers around it, and why that letter mattered more than anyone realized at the time. Now, this wasn't a letter meant for the world. It wasn't something Taylor expected to go public, reposted, or turned into a trending hashtag. It was a genuine human attempt to reach out to someone who had been fighting hard, publicly and privately. Someone she saw struggling. Someone she understood more than people think. And if you know anything about Taylor Swift's history of compassion toward artists on the brink, then you know this is absolutely on brand. Before we get to the letter, let's rewind to the months leading up to Liam's tragic passing. Because the truth is, the signs were there. The turbulence was escalating. The headlines were getting darker, more chaotic, more alarming. Liam had been open about his battles, mental health, addiction, emotional breakdowns, setbacks, recovery journeys, the whole roller coaster. And being in the public, I only made the ride harsher. If fame is a pressure cooker, One Direction was a pressure cooker on turbo mode. And Liam, well, he was one of the members who admitted he struggled the most with the intensity. Even after the band split, even after they went their separate ways professionally, the shadow of that era never fully left him. Imagine being globally adored and globally scrutinized at the same time. Imagine millions of people feeling entitled to your life, your body, your relationships, your decisions, your missteps. Most of us freak out when our group chat sees a bad selfie. Liam had a billion eyeballs on him before he even turned 21. That leaves marks. And then there's Taylor Swift, someone who knows exactly what that kind of pressure feels like. Someone who was also thrown into global fame as a teenager. Someone who built her career under a microscope, survived public humiliation, clawed her way out of impossible narratives, and still managed to evolve. So when she saw Liam spiraling, the empathy wasn't distant. It was familiar. Now, the big question: how does someone like Taylor Swift decide to reach out to someone like Liam Payne? What connects them? The answer: more than you'd think. They shared award shows, industry circles, mutual friends, and a shared experience of being young, squeezed by fame, and forced to keep performing through pain. And while they never had a public friendship, the music world is smaller than it looks. People talk. People care quietly. People check in behind the scenes. Sources close to Taylor say she had been following Liam's health updates, the same way the rest of the world did, through tabloid reports, rehab announcements, concerning paparazzi videos, emotional interviews. But unlike the rest of the world, she didn't treat it as gossip. She treated it as a cry for help. So now we get to the letter. Here's how insiders described it. Handwritten, warm, supportive, nothing flashy, nothing poetic or cryptic, just real. Taylor has always been a writer first. You can hear it in her lyrics, but the world forgets she writes letters too. A lot of them. She writes to fans battling illness. She writes to artists going through public meltdowns. She writes to friends during heartbreak. She writes when she wants to say something that isn't meant for cameras or rep statements. This letter wasn't long. It wasn't some dramatic confessional. It was simply personal encouragement from someone who understood the pressure cooker he had lived in for half his life. Something along the lines of, "You deserve kindness. You deserve healing. You deserve to feel safe. And you're not alone, even when it feels like you are." It wasn't about offering solutions. It wasn't about preaching. It was about reminding him of his value. And for what insiders say, Liam read it. And it meant something. This is the part most people didn't know. Even though Liam had a tough exterior in public, he was extremely sensitive in private. Messages like that hit him deeply. For someone who felt misunderstood by the industry for so long, being acknowledged by one of the most powerful figures in music meant more than fans could imagine. The timing of the letter was especially emotional. Taylor sent it shortly before Liam traveled to Buenos Aires, where he tragically passed away after a fall. And that's where the emotional weight of this moment hits hardest. No one, not even Taylor, could have predicted what would happen. But the fact that she reached out when she did, during a vulnerable chapter he was fighting his way through, adds a layer of heartbreak to the entire story. When news of Liam's death broke, Taylor didn't post a public statement. And that's important. Not every act of compassion needs an Instagram caption. Not every connection needs a performance. But according to people close to her, the news hit her hard. Harder than the public would assume. That's the thing about quiet kindness. It often stays invisible until something devastating happens. Fans, though, they felt it. Swifties and Directioners, two fandoms known for operating like high-speed internet with feelings, immediately began digging through every interview, every lyric, every award show moment, every crossover detail between Taylor and Liam. Suddenly, these two artists, rarely mentioned in the same sentence, became a symbol of how messy, fragile, and human the celebrity world really is. The letter became a whispered part of that story, a private moment that found its way into public conversation after Liam's passing. Not because Taylor leaked it, not because anyone wanted clout, but because people wanted to understand the humanity behind the headlines. They needed something gentle in a sea of tragedy. They needed to know someone tried. And that's the surprising truth. This wasn't a headline. This wasn't clickbait. This wasn't a PR stunt. This was one artist offering empathy to another, outside the spotlight, with no expectation of credit or attention. It's the kind of gesture that reminds you celebrities aren't symbols or brands. They're fragile, emotional, imperfect humans trying to survive impossible lives. If there's a lesson here, it's that compassion matters. Quiet compassion. Unseen compassion. The kind that doesn't trend. Taylor didn't save Liam. She couldn't have. No one person could have stopped everything he was battling. But she tried to reach out. She tried to offer a moment of light in the chaos he was drowning in. And sometimes, that's all any of us can do. Tragedies like this always leave people asking, what if? What if the industry had taken better care of him? What if the pressure had been less intense? What if fame hadn't been a storm he was thrown into before he fully knew who he was? And maybe the most heartbreaking question of all, what if he had felt more supported? But the truth is, Liam Payne wasn't forgotten. He wasn't alone. He wasn't unloved. And Taylor Swift's letter is one quiet piece of evidence that even in the darkest, most chaotic chapters of his life, someone was reaching out to remind him of his worth. And now, as fans continue to process his loss, that letter has taken on a symbolic weight. Proof that kindness still exists in a world that often feels cold. Proof that empathy crosses genres, fan bases, and old industry lines. Proof that behind the glitter and Grammys and sold-out stadiums, celebrities feel each other's pain in ways only they can understand. This is the Celebrity Leak, and as always, I'll be here every single day breaking down the stories behind the stories, the human moments buried beneath the fame, the emotion behind the headlines, and the truth behind the drama. If you want more deep dives, more fast-paced breakdowns, more unfiltered celebrity truths, make sure you hit that subscribe button, tap that like, and drop a comment telling me what story you want leaked next. Because on this channel, nothing stays in the vault for long.